Hey, this is Dina. Welcome to the Den. Wow, it's been a while since I've done a game den, and it's been even longer since I did one that wasn't Silent Hill related. What was the last one? Oh yeah, I have no mouth and I must scream. That one was a special case because I fell in love with it the first time I played it a couple years ago and immediately decided to do a game den on it. That never happens. So what was the one I did before that? Oh yeah, Abadox. Holy crap, that was 9 years ago. My channel is old. Well, being that that was the last game den on a non-Silent Hill game that I sort of grew up with, that I am terrible at, so I play it with an invincibility code just because I like to admire the presentation. It had great graphics and music for its time. It's kind of appropriate that I'm now talking about Ecco the Dolphin, which is basically the same situation for me. Unlike Abadox, though, I do remember how I discovered this game. I originally saw Ecco advertised on the back of an instruction manual of one of those Genesis games I already owned. And I wasn't that impressed. I wasn't into cute kid stuff at the time, and just going by the cover, that's the kind of game I figured it was. Then later I was at some game store and they had a kiosk with some non-playable Ecco footage running. It might have been the game's attract mode. And I couldn't get over not only how beautiful the game looked, but how fast it was going. I know blast processing is a bullshit marketing term, but credit where it's due, the Genesis could go fast. And there's another area where Ecco surprised me. With a game called Ecco The Dolphin, you'd expect maybe an educational game where you learn about dolphins while playing as one, maybe a calm and relaxing, fun little slice of life game. Hell no! At least Abadox is honest with its title screen. Bam! You know right away you're in for some fucked up shit. Here's Ecco's title screen. Oh, doesn't it just seem so calm and serene? Bullshit. By the way, for as much as people rag on me for my gaming skills, at least I figured out how to get past the first screen in this game. I know at least 2 game reviewers who criticized this game because they couldn't figure out how to get past the first screen. I guess they never played an RPG where you have to talk to certain NPCs before the game lets you progress. Oh look, this guy's challenging me to jump into the air as high as I can. Oh look, doing that triggered a cutscene. Oh look, I can leave the area now. Granted, that's the only easy part of the game, but if you're gonna bash Ecco for its difficulty, maybe spend more than 5 minutes playing it first, is all I'm saying. Okay, enough snark. Yes, I admit that I use cheat codes for this game. I'll admit it, this game is just flat out too hard for me otherwise. And I don't even feel bad. It's made of 24 huge levels, and it's basically a series of puzzles. There's plenty of challenge even without having to remember to breathe and avoiding getting hurt. So there you go, full disclosure. As for what those codes are if you wanted to know, the most well-known one is if you spell out Life Fish on the level select screen, you'll be granted with infinite air. So if you consider having to remember to go up for air to be too much of a pain, and some levels make that really difficult, and that's all you want, then that's a good one to use. Life Fish for life, baby. But if you're like me and the game is too hard even without having to breathe, there's also a debug menu that you can activate by turning Ecco around, pausing while he's facing you, and inputting right BC BC down C up. That's right up there with Mortal Kombat's blood code. Get over here! And a certain Game Genie code for Eternal Champions that I'll always remember because I've used them so much. I see you looking at me, Ecco. Don't judge me. Anyway, there's an invincibility mode, and you can go to any level, though they're only shown as numbers and some of them are out of order, so it's a bit of a crapshoot. I'd recommend playing the game all the way through and not skipping levels if you can avoid it. Also keep in mind that you can still die by being crushed, so it's not true invincibility. You just don't take damage from enemies attacking you. So this is a far cry from when I used the invincibility code in Abadox, where I just sail through the whole game in a couple of hours. There is definitely still a challenge here. You, of course, can play however you want, and I will leave you to it. Hopefully you will give me the same courtesy. Regarding gameplay, since you're underwater, you can go up, down, left, right, and diagonally. You heal by charging through schools of fish and eating them. I love that little noise. And by collecting the glowing bubbles from these oysters. Be careful though, occasionally they emit poison bubbles. You also have sonar, which can have different effects depending on what you're using it for. You can use it to talk to dolphins and other cetaceans. There's also a charged sonar, which you can use for attacking from a distance. Also, if you hold the button and wait a second for it to come back to you, it creates an echolocation map. There are also glyphs, which are these amazing giant crystals with information stored inside them that you can access. They can give you hints, grant you temporary invincibility, key glyphs can grant you access, and barrier glyphs keep you from progressing if you haven't accessed a key glyph first. I like to call them Gandalf crystals.
You cannot pass! You shall not pass!
It isn't stated where glyphs come from until way later in the game. At this point, they're just something that is mysteriously helpful. You can also jump out of the water, which is weirdly satisfying. Just seeing how high up Ecco can go can be fun, and hearing that splash when he comes back down. Also, the developers were pretty creative with the colors they put into the sky, which you can't even see unless you jump out of the water. Sometimes I'll jump out of the water just to see what color the sky is in that particular level. I love it when a little extra work is put into details like that. On the downside, the controls can be a little fiddly, and jumping out of the water just the way you need to can be a pain. There are some levels where you have to jump over a series of islands, and that can be frustrating, especially since sometimes enemies will mess up your momentum. Also, every time Ecco takes damage, he lets out this unholy screeching sound. God forbid you get stuck somewhere where he ends up taking hit after hit. I guess that's one downside to the invincibility code. This could theoretically go on forever. I remember sometimes getting so annoyed as a kid that I'd actually turn off the TV's volume when stuff like this would happen. Story-wise, you play as Ecco, a bottlenose dolphin with 5 stars on his head. The game starts off with him just hanging out with his family. I love how dolphins talk in this game. It's simplistic, but it gets the point across. Wow, this guy is deep, though. But then they all apparently get sucked out of the water by a tornado, along with a ton of other sea life. Notice how the music changes. And suddenly it feels really lonely. Granted, there were dolphins playing before and now they're suddenly gone, but the music here really drives it home. Like I said, there are about 24 levels in this game, but they can be grouped into 6 sections. Starting with the warm water levels, and then cold water, and after that the names would get kind of spoilery, so you'll find out as I get to them. So rather than talk about each of the 24 levels, I'll be talking about the sections as a kind of overview. In the warm water section, Ecco isn't too far from his element. The main thing is the maze-like tunnels. Seriously, avoiding running out of air in these levels can be a bitch. And of course everything wants to kill him. Except for the orcas, ironically. If anything, they're very helpful. I always thought that orcas are an interesting dichotomy. They're friendly towards humans, but brutally murder any sea life, including dolphins, going by this quick YouTube search I did. I won't subject you to any of these videos because I don't even want to watch them. According to good old Wikipedia, it depends on the type of orca, not all of them eat dolphins. Here's some footage of orcas and dolphins playing together, and according to this one video, along with some other sources that a quick Google search turned up, apparently they can even learn dolphin language, so that's something that this game got oddly correct. The thumbnail shows an orca licking a dolphin on his little bottlenose, which is so cute I could die. Unfortunately, it's just clickbait and isn't in the video. Dolphins are friends, not food. I can't wait for all the marine experts to tell me how wrong I am about everything in the comments section. Anyway, the first orca tells you to seek out the Big Blue, a blue whale obviously, who is very old and wise. But it's gonna be a while until we find him. Okay, bye. Other than that, there are a metric fuck ton of jellyfish who are notorious for getting in your way, especially in these tight corridors. They do look cool though. I love the transparent effect. Pufferfish are similar in that they get in your way a lot. They are a serious pain and don't look as cool, so fuck them. Aw, that's okay. I appreciate your sympathy. Speaking of music, my favorite tune is the music for the Undercaves. A lot of the other songs are very mellow, but this one has a real sense of urgency, and I just love the energy it has while still being foreboding. Speaking of enemies, we may as well count these damn spikes, which like to be placed in awkward spots, like at the end of a current so they're almost unavoidable. Sometimes you can swim against a current and sometimes you can't. Sometimes you need the help of a falling rock or shell to get through one. One of the many things that can be a serious pain because they like to get away from you, and sometimes the game will put stuff in the way that won't affect the rock but will hurt Ecco and slow him down. As for the rocks that are in your way, for some reason certain shells will break through them. Though it took me forever to figure out how to do it here. You also come across dolphins who have lost their families, called pods, because that's what you call a family of dolphins. Back to music, I also love the tune playing during the vents. It's just so happy sounding. Maybe because your main goal is rescuing other dolphins and reuniting them with their families. Oh, hello, Sea Panda. See what I mean? They're so helpful. Bye. By the time we get to the lagoon, we have to deal with these weird leeches. These things will grab onto you and not let go. See how bullshit this is when you have to breathe and these assholes are holding you underwater? Also, giant freaking octopus. Hey, this thing was terrifying in 1992, okay? Especially with how you have to slowly sneak past it. You're moving carefully and everything is quiet until you mess up slightly and it smacks Ecco, causing him to make this noise. Of course, what kind of underwater adventure would this be without great white sharks? I guess one downside to this game visually is that the enemies only have to touch you to hurt you, so there's no unique or interesting animation when you get attacked. I mean, it's a Genesis game, I'm not gonna complain. But yeah, that's why I don't have too much to say about sharks. They do look cool, but they basically just swim back and forth and don't do anything visually interesting. Same goes for stingrays, though they're a bit like the jellyfish where they tend to move in groups and get in your way. I do like their cool flapping animation. One of the more aggravating parts of this level is that there are stones that can only be destroyed by this group of circling starfish, which you move with your echolocation. They're on a time limit somehow, and they disappear if you hesitate for even the tiniest second. And of course you have to move them past the octopus. I wish I had a dime for every time I thought, am I misunderstanding what I'm supposed to do here because this doesn't even seem possible? On the upside, if enemies get in your way, the starfish will kill them, so they can almost act as a shield. After rescuing another pod of dolphins, this dolphin tells you that the big blue swims north to die, so you better hurry up. Crabs would be amusing if they weren't so relentless. At least the sharks have a turning animation. The crabs don't move at all, they're just these static images that come after you. Also real cute putting a healing oyster right next to a wall of spikes game. Fine, don't talk to me, assholes. So much for dolphins being friendly. At least the tuxedo dolphins will still talk to me. Yeah, I know, I'm already going north. Laters. So now we're finally entering the cold water area, and the first level is, oh my god, sharks everywhere. Yeah, you basically have to go through a gauntlet of sharks. Then comes the ice. It looks kind of crystalline. Man, this level is pretty. The background even looks kind of glassy. Wait, do those sharks have leopard spots? Is that a thing? Kind of. They're called leopard sharks, but their spots don't look quite that leopard-like. They got the rest of it down, though. Huh, I learned something. Either way, they're beautiful. And deadly. They're also less aggressive than the great whites. They don't really come after you much. You mostly just need to avoid hitting them. Maybe I'm weird, but I think Ecco looks hilarious sliding along the ice. So here's a new enemy, which are basically giant, nasty-looking crabs. And a little too much like spiders for my taste. They basically behave just like the earlier crabs. This guy appears to be mostly stuck in the ice, but he can still hurt you. Hard water, check it and see. Yeah, you have to laugh about this level so you won't cry. This is the first area where you can die even with the invincibility turned on. There are blocks of ice that just kind of move on their own and can crush you against the walls. Which is kind of bullshit, but you know, Echo. I also take back what I said about the leopard sharks being less aggressive. What the hell, guys? I thought we understood each other. Look at this. I have to go against the current to get through this tiny hole just to get a key glyph. This game, I swear to God. Boy, the Big Blue really didn't want to be found. Look how big and beautiful he is. But he's a good guy who wants to help. Apparently these violent storms occur every 500 years, where all traces of life vanish at the eye of the storm. I guess Echo and a few others just got really lucky. But there is one who is older and wiser than the Big Blue, the Asterite, which is thought to be the oldest life form in the sea. We feel great energy of thought from the Asterite, but it will not sing to us. If you can communicate with it, perhaps it could help you. And he tells us where to find it, and that's it. This is partly why I like to not have to worry about breathing. I can hang around and enjoy the art without having to cheese it out of here before I run out of air. Okay, well, Godspeed, Big Blue. The ocean is going to feel much more empty without you in it. Mainly because you're so fucking big. And now on to the Asterite area, which is back in warmer waters. I know, Ocean Oreo, it was a big storm. This dolphin is scared too. It's okay, I'm gonna fix everything. I'm Echo, bitch. Anyway, after going through an insane maze, we come upon the oldest living creature in the ocean. And it kind of resembles a giant strand of DNA. I actually think that's pretty awesome. If it's that old, it makes sense that it'd be a very basic looking life form, despite being sapient. When you talk to him, he says something that's odd at first, but it'll make sense later. The Asterite can help Echo, but it needs help first. It says, "You must help me regain my full strength. You must travel into the past. To the west is the sunken city of Atlantis. Its people built a machine and used it to travel in time.
Hey, Scott!
Use the machine to travel to the distant past before your kind existed. You will go back 55 million years. There you will find my missing globe." Anyway, once Echo does that, the Asterite will be at full power and be able to help him save his pod. Yeah, there is time travel in this dolphin game. Things are about to get really weird, so I'm gonna end part 1 here. I've been having some fun at this game's expense, but it really is amazing. So if you're interested in playing Ecco the Dolphin, be sure to do that before I get to part 2, because it's gonna get weird.